Hi, it's Dorothy Guinan with Scrapbooking Quebec. Welcome to a new edition of Tips and Tricks. This one's also going to be a layout process video. I'm going to share a few easy hacks for creating pocket list pages. And what I mean by that is traditional scrapbooking layouts that look like pocket pages. Even though I'm not a pocket page scrapbooker, I find it fun to create the look from time to time, especially since scrapbooking collections often come with these super cute cut-apart sheets intended for that purpose. Here's what I'm going to be using. I have leftovers from the Simple Stories What's Cooking collection, and everything I use, material and tools, will be listed in the description box below. Before jumping in, I want to have another channel update. My original plan was to do a Mercy Tiara Kit Club unboxing in mid-January, then begin my monthly routine with process videos and a layout share. I postponed that until February because I am going to be busy over the next few weeks doing non-scrapbooking fun stuff, and I will be back the week of February 5th. Meanwhile, the Mercy Tiara Kit Club's January collection called Nostalgia will be released. And let me tell you, it's gorgeous. I did get a sneak peek. So for that reason, I am going to put the link to the Kit Club below. You can expect one more process video before February, and that's going to be next Sunday, January 21st. So let's jump right into today's project. Here's what's on my desk. I'm showing you I have a white 12 by 12 cardstock along with 4 photos. I had them all matted in white cardstock as well. Here's the paper, some leftovers from that Simple Stories What's Cooking collection. In this tray, I have a bunch of embellishments. I have a bunch of cut-apart sheets. I have ephemera. You're going to see I have foam titles. I also have some chipboard. Those are alphas from just a Simple Stories collection. I think it's the summer. Anyway, I will list it below. And I will talk more about these embellishments later on when I actually embellish my page. The first thing I want to talk about are pocket pages. I am showing you a pocket page protector, and this is the design that I am going to copy. So you can see there's 4 big blocks, 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom. On the page protector, they measure 6 by 4, I should say, and the small ones in the middle, 3 by 4. But if I want to do that on a traditional layout, I have to cut my blocks smaller in order to create the margins. So I created this template a few years ago, and I've been using it ever since. And this is my biggest hack that I'm showing you. Once I figured this out, the pocket list pages came together very, very quickly. And for me, the big blocks measure 5 3/4 by 3 3/4, and the small ones in the middle 2 13/16 by 3 3/4. And you will get another look at that template a little bit later on. I'm showing you what I have on my desk. So I have some of the bigger blocks. Again, they measure 5 3/4 by 3 3/4. I'm placing 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom. Now for that middle row, I can put 4 small blocks in there like the template shows, or I can replace 2 of the smaller blocks with a larger block. I can do that in the middle and have 2 smaller blocks on the outer edges, or I can do it on one of the sides. I can even move one of the blocks from the top or the bottom to the middle and use the empty block at the top or at the bottom to use the 3 by 4 cards. Honestly, the options are almost unlimited here. So what I'm going to be doing for this one is using it as the template shows, 2 big blocks at the top, small ones in the middle, and 2 big blocks at the bottom. So you can see that I've kind of filled in the middle row with some cut apart sheets and a smaller photo. Now I do want to create a photo mat for that smaller photo, so I'm going to be doing it in that raspberry color. So I'm cutting that down to 2 13/16 by 3 3/4. I'm showing you on the trimmer where 2 13/16 is, which is basically 1/16, so one little notch past the 3/4 mark. And I'm doing that because it's a bit of an odd measurement, but when I created this template a few years ago, I had to kind of play around with measurements in order to make my margins in between the blocks. So once I made that template, I kept it. And now that it's made, when I create these pocket list pages, they come together in no time flat at all. So you can see I have 3 of the 4 middle blocks filled up. So what I'm showing you here is that I often like to do something different here. So I put a tag in that's different than the other blocks. I put in that oven mitt ephemera. I really like that, but it was raspberry color beside raspberry. So I was looking for a different color. So I found this piece of chipboard, which is like an old-fashioned stove, and I like it because it's kind of a nice rectangle. And what I like doing here is filling in some of the blocks with something different than a block. It just adds fun and visual interest to the layout. Now what I'm doing is simply adhering my photos to the block. So all 4 photos to the blocks at this point. I also want to point out that my photos are all smaller than the pattern paper blocks. Each one of these blocks, one or all of them, can be replaced with a full-size photo. So one of the larger blocks, for example, could be a photo that measures 5 3/4 by 3 3/4. Again, the possibilities once you have this template made, which is my biggest hack here, are limitless. So it's really, really fun. So if you make yourself a template, hang on to it. Now what I'm going to do is create a title block. And when I create a title block, I often spend a bit more time on it. I want it to have an impact. So from the title foam sticker sheet, I selected the word kitchen, and I did that because of its color, because of the raspberry color. I have 2 other raspberry blocks, so that gives me a 3rd hit of raspberry. And I'm going to talk about 3s later on in this video, but right now you can see I am cutting myself out a 6-inch scalloped circle using a punch from Creative Memories. So what I want to do is create my title block, and I want it to be kind of fancy. So I thought what I would do is use this scalloped circle and just kind of have it behind the word kitchen. So the word kitchen stands out more and that block stands out more. Now what I'm doing as well is I'm thinking in 3s, just like I did with kitchen and the color of the word kitchen, so that I would have 3 hits of raspberry. What I'm going to do is add some more paper to this title card, and I do have some scraps of this striped paper here. So already with my bigger blocks, I have 2 blocks with striped paper. So what I'm going to do with this scrap of paper is just add a bit of that to my title card. So that's going to give me 3 hits of striped paper on the card. When I create traditional layouts, I'm often thinking of visual triangles and stuff like that. I don't necessarily do that when I create these pocket list pages, but I do start thinking in 3s. And like I mentioned earlier, I have 3 hits of raspberry. Now I have 3 hits of striped paper, and I'm adhering all of this together. The reason why I don't think of visual triangles per se when I do this is because when I create these pocket list pages, I'm often creating them 1 block at a time. So it's just too confusing for me to think of visual triangles, but in the end, it typically all works out. You can see I continued adhering the word kitchen to my block off camera, and now what I'm going to do is adhere all of my blocks to the foundation page. They're not finished yet, but basically the bulk of them is done. I will come in and work on the blocks once these are adhered to my foundation page. When I adhere my blocks to the foundation page, my biggest trick here is maintaining an equal distance from the outer edge of my cardstock. For me, it's white. So maintaining an equal distance from the outer edge to the photo. So that's what you see me doing at the bottom right now. I am doing it 1/4 inch. So you can see I did it from the bottom to the photo, also from the side to the photo. I am going to do the very same thing in the top row. That's all I worry about. And when I do that, the margins inside look after themselves because all of my blocks are identical in size. So you can see I am doing the very same thing on the top. Now, I didn't make you watch all of it. Now what I've got to do is fill in that row in the middle. So I have 4 blocks basically. I am starting on the far left, once again, positioning it in the middle and maintaining that margin to the outer edge of the white cardstock. Now I'm placing the second block and I'm basically lining it right up underneath those blocks at the top and at the bottom. But now you can see I've moved ahead over to the far right where I adhered that Let's Eat card. That's because what I'm placing in the middle, that chipboard piece, is not like the other block. So I saved that to the end and then I just kind of eyeballed it and positioned it in the middle. What I want to do now is add a journaling box. So I'm using another cut apart sheet that's trimmed down a bit and I'm going to cover up that frying pan on top of that aqua colored card. So there is where my journaling is going to go. Now, on top of that little card, it's got this rolling pin and it says, I can see you rolling or something like that. I'm going to cover that up because it doesn't really have anything to do with my layout. And I'm just looking for things. I had this little brown oven mitt there in the chipboard, but I didn't like that. I'm looking through the ephemera pieces. I find myself another little rolling pin. I think that one said family. In the end, what I end up using are some foam flowers. Those were on the foam title sheet, and I actually really love how that pink floral cluster looks on top of that aqua colored card. So I'm happy with that. I will do my journaling off camera and you will see it at the very end of this video. I'm playing around with a few other embellishments there. I have some more of those flowers, but I don't end up using it. I have a little piece of chipboard that's aqua colored and it says recipes, and I like that because this layout really is about recipes. So I'm just placing it at the top of that card there that says Let's Eat. Now at this point, I have 2 hits of aqua and I do want to add to my title. So I'm showing you some aqua letters. I'm not sure if they're the right color, but in the end I end up using them and they work out perfectly. So actually you can see it right there. All I ended up doing off camera was adding to my title. So now it's from my kitchen. And I also added my journaling, and I did my journaling on the computer. And that is basically it. I hope you enjoyed this edition of Tips and Tricks. If you did, I'd greatly appreciate a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would be thrilled if you did. And if you are a subscriber, thank you very, very much. Have a great day, and I will see you soon on YouTube. Bye-bye.